In a move that sent shockwaves through the international community, Rwanda announced it was severing diplomatic ties with Belgium. This drastic decision, announced in March of 2025, brought a long simmering tension between the two nations to a boiling point. Rwanda's foreign ministry wasted no time in explaining the reasoning behind this dramatic action, pointing to a history of grievances that had finally reached a breaking point. At the heart of the matter were accusations of neo-colonial interference by Belgium in Rwanda's internal affairs. Rwanda alleged that Belgium continued to exert undue influence in the region, undermining Rwanda's sovereignty. This claim resonated deeply with many Rwandans, evoking painful memories of Belgium's colonial past and its lingering impact on the nation's present. Adding fuel to the fire were accusations of Belgium's tolerance towards genocide denial. Rwanda expressed outrage over what it perceived as Belgium's unwillingness to confront its own role in the horrors of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. This issue, deeply sensitive and emotionally charged, cut to the very core of Rwanda's national identity and its struggle for healing and reconciliation. The Rwandan government, in its official statement, accused Belgium of providing a platform for individuals and groups that propagate genocide denial. This, they argued, was not merely a matter of freedom of speech but a dangerous act of historical revisionism that threatened to reignite ethnic tensions and undermine the progress Rwanda had made in the aftermath of the genocide. To understand the depth of Rwanda's anger, one must delve into the long and complicated history between these two nations. Belgium's colonial rule in Rwanda, stretching from the early 20th century until 1962, left deep scars on the Rwandan psyche. The Belgian colonial administration implemented policies that exacerbated existing ethnic divisions between the Hutu and Tutsi communities. These policies, often driven by a divide-and-rule strategy, sowed the seeds of mistrust and resentment that would ultimately contribute to the horrific violence of the 1994 genocide. Rwanda argued that Belgium's continued involvement in its affairs, often disguised as aid or development assistance, was a thinly veiled attempt to maintain a neo-colonial grip on the country. The issue of genocide denial further inflamed tensions. Rwanda accused Belgium of failing to acknowledge its own complicity in the events leading up to the genocide. They pointed to instances where Belgian officials had downplayed the scale of the atrocities or had even expressed sympathy for those who perpetrated the genocide. This perceived lack of accountability on the part of Belgium was seen as a betrayal by many Rwandans. It undermined their efforts to achieve justice for the victims and to build a future free from the shadow of hate and division. Belgium's colonial legacy in Rwanda is a dark chapter in both nations' histories. When Belgium took control of Rwanda in the aftermath of World War I, they inherited a society with existing social hierarchies, but the lines between Hutu and Tutsi were fluid. However, the Belgian colonial administration, seeking to simplify their rule, formalized these distinctions, creating a rigid system of ethnic classification. They issued identity cards that labeled individuals as either Hutu or Tutsi, based on arbitrary criteria such as cattle ownership and physical characteristics. This act of categorization had a profound impact on Rwandan society. It hardened ethnic identities and created a system of privilege that favored the Tutsi minority, who were often placed in positions of power. Over time, resentment grew within the Hutu majority, fueled by perceptions of inequality and injustice. The Belgian colonial administration did little to address these grievances or to promote interethnic harmony. Instead, they often exploited existing tensions to maintain control. This policy of divide and rule had devastating consequences, laying the groundwork for the ethnic violence that would engulf Rwanda in the decades to come. Section 4. The genocide and its aftermath wounds that remain open. The 1994 Rwandan genocide stands as one of the darkest chapters in human history. Over the course of 100 days, an estimated 800,000 Tutsis and moderate Hutus were systematically slaughtered in a wave of unimaginable brutality. The international community, including Belgium, stood by as this horror unfolded, failing to intervene in any meaningful way. In the aftermath of the genocide, Rwanda was left devastated, grappling with the loss of a generation and the deep psychological scars of the violence. The process of rebuilding the nation, both physically and emotionally, has been long and arduous. One of the key challenges facing Rwanda has been the pursuit of justice and accountability for the genocide. While many perpetrators have been tried and convicted by Rwandan courts and the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, others have evaded justice, seeking refuge in countries like Belgium. Section 5. Diplomatic fallout, EU sanctions and suspended aid. The diplomatic fallout from Rwanda's decision to cut ties with Belgium was swift and significant. The European Union, of which Belgium is a member, expressed deep concern over the development. Some EU members called for a measured response, urging dialogue and diplomacy to resolve the situation. However, others took a harder line, suggesting that Rwanda's actions warranted a strong response. The EU had already imposed sanctions on Rwandan military officials over alleged support for the M23 rebel group operating in the Democratic Republic of Congo. These sanctions included travel bans and asset freezes, targeting individuals believed to be responsible for human rights abuses and fueling the conflict. In the wake of Rwanda's decision to cut ties with Belgium, there were calls within the EU to expand these sanctions. Some member states argued that Rwanda's actions demonstrated a disregard for international norms and a willingness to escalate regional tensions. Adding to the diplomatic pressure, Rwanda took the step of suspending a significant aid deal with Belgium. This move highlighted the economic stakes involved in the diplomatic row. Belgium had been a major donor to Rwanda, providing financial assistance for various development projects. Section 6. Awaiting Belgium's response, the silence speaks volumes. In the immediate aftermath of Rwanda's announcement, Belgium maintained a notable silence. The Belgian government, caught off guard by the suddenness and severity of the diplomatic action, seemed to struggle to formulate a coherent response. This silence was interpreted by some as a sign of arrogance, a reflection of Belgium's alleged unwillingness to engage with its colonial past and its ongoing impact on Rwanda. Others saw it as a strategic pause, a period of reflection before issuing a carefully calibrated response. As days turned into weeks, the pressure mounted on Belgium to break its silence. The international community watched closely, eager to gauge Belgium's next move and its potential consequences for the already fragile relationship between the two nations. The lack of an immediate response from Belgium only served to amplify the existing tensions. Some speculated that Belgium was hesitant to engage in a public war of words with Rwanda, fearing further damage to its reputation on the international stage. Section 7. Understanding the complexities, a call for dialogue and reconciliation. The diplomatic row between Rwanda and Belgium serves as a stark reminder of the enduring legacy of colonialism and the complexities of international relations. It highlights the importance of understanding historical context and acknowledging past wrongs in order to build a more just and equitable future. While Rwanda's decision to cut ties with Belgium was undoubtedly a drastic step, it is crucial to recognize the deep-seated grievances and frustrations that fueled this action. Belgium's colonial past in Rwanda and its perceived reluctance to fully confront its legacy continue to cast a long shadow over the relationship between the two nations. Moving forward, it is imperative that both sides engage in a genuine and meaningful dialogue. This dialogue must be rooted in a shared commitment to truth, justice, and reconciliation. It will require both sides to confront uncomfortable truths about the past and to acknowledge the pain and suffering that have been inflicted.